Hello everyone, Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel where I love to bring you my best tips and tools to inspire you to create beautiful home decor on a budget. Today I'm excited to be back with 4 more brand new spring DIYs that can be made on a budget with items from Dollar Tree, Walmart, and Hobby Lobby. So with all that being said, let's get crafting. For DIY number 1, we're going to use this wooden arch sign from Michaels and this cross from Hobby Lobby, as well as a few other items. You can see this arch is one of their larger ones. I think it also comes in a smaller size. This one's about 12 by 18. And I am going to take this foam sponge and my white Waverly chalk paint, and I'm going to give the entire front side of this and the side edges with a coat of white. Of course, you can modify this, use whatever colors you'd like to fit your decor. And you can see I'm going to switch here to a smaller brush so I can make sure to get in those little edges between the different layers. This sign does have 3 different layers. And then just switching back to the larger one, I really find that these sponges make a quicker job and a more even coat of the paint than a brush would, and you don't get the brush strokes. While our paint is drying, we'll come to our cross now, and I am going to put some matte finish Mod Podge on the top. We're going to brush that evenly, and then we're going to let that dry, and then we will Mod Podge the paper on using the ironing method. I think this makes a quicker job of it, less messy, and also, in my opinion, gives less chance of air bubbles. So brush on that Mod Podge and set that aside to dry. Now that it is dry, I'm going to take my scrapbook paper. This is from a paper pack from Hobby Lobby called Theodosia Square. I thought the paper was thick enough that I didn't need the parchment paper, but I see that I did get a little burn spot there on my paper. So use the parchment or a lighter setting on your iron and go ahead and iron that. The heat from the iron will reactivate the Mod Podge, which will grab onto that paper. So once you feel you've gone over it enough times, set that aside to cool, and then you'll be able to trim off the excess. We're going to use some scissors to kind of trim off the big pieces of excess, and then we'll use the mini sander to get the excess from around the edges. And here I'm showing you, this is the 11-inch cross from Hobby Lobby. There is also another style, and then both styles in a slightly smaller size. Michaels shows on their website as well a smaller arch. So if you're going to do the large arch, I would do the larger crosses. The smaller arch, I would do the smaller crosses just for size. So there you can see I just trimmed away with my scissors roughly around the shape of the cross. Then I'm going to use a 220 grit sandpaper on my little sander here, and in a downward motion, you guys have seen me do this a million times, we're going to sand off the excess of the paper, get a nice clean edge all the way around. I do want to seal that paper in, so I am going to put some more Mod Podge on top and brush that with a paintbrush to smooth it out and then let it dry. Next, coming back to our wooden arch, I'm just going to smooth out the paint, maybe add a little distressing to the edges with my small sander. Then once we've gotten all that dust brushed off, I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in the color Dusk. And I felt like this color really matched the scrapbook paper I chose really well. I'm just taking a brush and very lightly adding some of this blue in some streaks on the outer and the middle arches. Of course, this is optional. You could fully paint if you'd like. I just wanted to add a little bit of color. I still want the cross to be the main focus of this piece, but I thought it was nice to add a little bit of a complementary color. And if you feel like you get too much color or you just want to blend it out a little bit more, you can get that sander back out with that fine grit and just smooth out where you've added that paint. Next, I'm just putting my cross down so I can see how much space I'm going to need for my stenciled words. This Rolling Pins Faith set of stencils has 12 different words or phrases that you can add at the bottom or the top of your arch. I decided to do mine at the bottom because I felt like I had more space if I pushed the cross up into the arched or the rounded part of the arch. So for this one, I'm going to go with Amazing Grace. I am just going to center it at the very bottom, lining up the bottom of my stencil right on that edge. And I'm going to use Dusky Blue and just a squeegee to apply a little bit of chalk paste into my reusable stencil and then peel it up and see the words Amazing Grace. And like I said, there's 11 other words or phrases that you can use, but I really liked Amazing Grace for this project. Now you could definitely stop there with the painting, but I decided to take my Tim Holtz Distressing Ink in Walnut Stain, and I wanted to kind of frame out the cross a little bit more. So you can see I'm taking that to the edges of my cross in a downward motion. And then I'm also going to use my little sponge and add some to my arched frame as well. Then once we have our frame how we'd like it, I'm just going to take some hot glue on the back of my cross and I'm going to center it above the words and side to side in my frame. So this is going to just sit there in the center until it's fully adhered, and that is the completion of my project. Now you can see I did not paint the sides of my cross. You could definitely do that for an even more finished look. And I love how this turned out. I love how you can change this up with different scrapbook papers, different paint colors, etc. If you love budget home decor DIY videos like this, please consider giving this video a thumbs up, as that lets YouTube know people are enjoying my content, and then they will show it to more and more viewers. DIY number 2 is really simple and fun. We're going to take this repurposed bottle, a rub-on transfer from Magnolia Design Co, and some rickrack, and also some bottle lights. I love, love, love this rub-on transfer, this floral border at the bottom here. This rub-on transfer is called Beautiful Girl. And depending on the size of bottle you're going to use, you can probably just wrap one of these around. I am going to use a tiny piece from a second one, but again, that just depends on the size of bottle you use. This one is a little fatter around than like a regular bottle of wine. So I'm just going to peel the backing off a little bit at a time. When you peel the backing off, the rub-on transfer itself is sticky, but not the plastic that is on top. So it is going to adhere, especially to glass, pretty well. So you're just going to wrap that around and then take your burnishing tool, a gift card, a quarter, I don't know, whatever you want to use to burnish through the top sheet, and we're pressing that rub-on transfer sticker to now permanently transfer itself to the glass bottle. Now, like I said, with glass, it does not take much work to get it to stay on the glass. So we're just going to go all the way around, and then we'll start lifting up that cover sheet, pressing more if the transfer is sticking, but like I said, this came off pretty well. So I'll lift a bit and then just give it one more rub down to make sure there's no bubbles, and take this transfer top sheet all the way off. And I just love our matte finish on our rub-on transfers. And like I said, these flowers are absolutely gorgeous. I love them. And I think this would be pretty just like this. You could turn it into a soap dispenser, whatever you'd like. But we're going to add a little bit. Like I said, you can see I took one little sliver of a second one. Again, you will not need to do that if your bottle is slightly smaller around than mine. I just wanted it to look complete all the way around. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in and I am going to cut out the 4 butterflies that are also part of this rub-on transfer, and then we're going to adhere them to the bottle as well. Isn't that so pretty? I love this rub-on transfer. I wanted to add a little something to the top of the bottle, so I decided to use this pink rickrack that I had. There's a little bit of pink in the rub-on transfers, and I thought this would be kind of nice, especially to kind of hide the cork looking insert that is going to hold our bottle lights. Next, we're going to take our LED bottle lights that have a cork-like thing at the top, and we're going to unwind these and just feed them into our bottle. I do have a link for these in my Amazon store. I put that in the description under this project, so you can find those there if interested. Once we have those all the way in, you can flip the switch and turn on those bottle lights. If it seems like a lot of them are all at the bottom, I kind of pulled them up a little bit and then just gently put the stopper back in to kind of spread them out a little bit more. So here is what the bottle looks like without the lights on. Now you could take this a step further, and before you put the rub-on transfers on, you could spray that frost spray if you'd want. I really just like the clear bottle. If you're stopping by my channel for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad that you found me. I hope that you enjoy what you see and you'll consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button. Also, I encourage you to tap that bell, set your notifications to all, so YouTube should let you know when I upload a new video or go live here on my channel. For DIY number 3, we're going to take this frame from Dollar Tree and some small little bunny shapes, as well as some jute twine and paint, and just turn this quickly into a really cute spring DIY. So the first thing you're going to want to do is remove the backing and the glass from your frame, and then go ahead and paint it your desired color. I decided to use Pink Cloud because it matches really well with the scrapbook paper that I chose to go in the frame as well. While the frame is drying, I'm going to take these 3 wood bunnies. I believe these are from a pack from Hobby Lobby, but you can find something similar at Dollar Tree as well. And using a little foam sponge, I'm going to go ahead and paint these 3 bunnies with white. Now this scrapbook paper is from a paper pad, I believe from Michael's, and I really liked the florals in the corners, so I'm taking the glass from the frame and I'm trying to decide which piece of the scrapbook paper I want to use. That one's okay. That one is going to have too much of the words on it. Same with that one. So I think I'm going to go one more. Oh, maybe I am going to use this one. I think I am, because I think the frame is going to cover up where those words are. So this is the winner. I'm going to just trim this out with my scissors. And I thought about just putting it in the frame behind the glass, but then I decided I wanted the paper on the outside, so I'm going to Mod Podge it onto the front of the glass. Coming back to our frame, I'm going to take a small brush and some white chalk paint. I wanted to add a little bit of dimension to the frame, so I am gently going over the beads with my white chalk paint. For part of the decoration on the front of the frame, I'm going to take 4 strands of jute twine, and I am just going to tie them into a simple bow, taking the one loop through and just keep pulling them and twisting them to get them the size that you want. I wanted it to be a little thicker than a one single strand. So I'm going to cut those loops from where I folded the twine over and then cut all 4 of the tails. We're going to hot glue this into the top left corner of our frame. Next, we're going to add our scrapbook paper that we Mod Podged to the front of the glass back into the frame, and then we will put the backing on. I think that's so pretty just like that. You don't even need to add the bunnies, but we are going to. You, of course, can make yours however you'd like. Isn't that pretty? So I'm going to take the 3 bunnies now that we painted white, and I'm just going to hot glue these over the top of that scrapbook paper. I'm also toying with the idea of adding a couple of these flowers to the jute twine bow. And here's our finished frame with our bunnies. I hope this gives you some ideas of how you can take some simple items and turn them into something beautiful. For a complete list of the tools and supplies I've used in today's projects, open up the description box below the title of this video. Usually you have to tap the word more or a little down arrow. There you will find a list of my most used craft supplies and tools, as well as a list for each of these 4 projects with what I used. For DIY number 4, we're going to take one of these bunny shapes from Dollar Tree, a napkin, some wood letters, and some paint to turn this plain bunny into something really beautiful for spring. So from Hobby Lobby, I have the H and the P from a set of wood letters, and then I decided to use a little flower shape for the O. I am painting those with pink cloud. Then I think this napkin came from Colorado. I think I got this at a tour we did at a historic home. In the bathroom, they had these really, really pretty guest towels, I guess they're called, which are really just napkins. But you can find gorgeous napkins anywhere. I, again, don't remember where this one came from, but you're going to want to use tape to remove any extra plies of the napkin so that you just have the very front that has the decoration on it. You only want to Mod Podge the top layer of your napkin. This one's super pretty. So you can see if I put it over the brown bunny, you're going to see that brown through there. So we're going to paint our bunny, and I'm actually painting the back side of the bunny. I left the wood looking side on the front. We're going to give this a couple coats of celery, let that dry completely. And then I think I forgot to film the part where I did Mod Podge on top of the paint once it was dry, kind of like the cross in DIY number 1, and then let it dry completely before we iron on the napkin. Yep, so definitely put some parchment paper between your iron and your napkin that you are Mod Podging, and you're going to do that between 3 and 4. Like, just put it in the middle of your settings of heat. Press it down. It should grab on to that napkin pretty quickly, and then you're going to let it cool off before you trim off the excess. And again, I'm going to use my little sander. Now with a napkin, you probably only need like 400 grit. You don't need anything super gritty. Just to go around the edge and get that excess napkin off to get a nice clean edge around your bunny. And we are going to gently put another layer of Mod Podge over the top of the napkin just so it doesn't rip, because it is pretty fragile. I would say just brush very lightly with the Mod Podge. You don't want to accidentally rip the napkin by brushing too hard. And once that's dry, I'm just going to hot glue my wood letters and flower on to spell the word hop. I think this is so pretty, can be left out. It's not even necessarily Easter. It is just something for spring, and I think it's so pretty with the flowers. Thanks again so much for joining me today. Please let me know in the comments which of these projects was your favorite, and we'll see you next time. Take care.